Aurangzeb, the sixth emperor of the Mughal Empire, remains one of the most significant, yet controversial figures in the history of India. His reign, from 1658 to 1707, was marked by profound changes in the political, religious, and military landscape of the subcontinent. Born in 1618 as the third son of Emperor Shah Jahan and Empress Mumtaz Mahal, Aurangzeb was initially not the designated heir to the throne. His father's other sons, including Dara Shikoh, were more prominent in the early years of the Mughal court. However, the situation changed dramatically when Shah Jahan fell ill and his sons began vying for the throne. Aurangzeb's path to the throne was marked by a ruthless power struggle. In 1657, after his father became incapacitated, Aurangzeb, along with his brothers, engaged in a bitter fratricidal war for the throne. Aurangzeb, known for his military and strategic brilliance, outmaneuvered his brothers, especially Dara Shikoh, who was a more liberal and tolerant figure. In 1658, after defeating Dara, Aurangzeb imprisoned his father and ascended the throne as Emperor Alamgir, taking the title Aurangzeb, which means, the ornament of the throne. Once in power, Aurangzeb's rule began with promises of reform, but his policies quickly evolved in ways that transformed the Mughal Empire. He was deeply influenced by his strong religious convictions, particularly his commitment to Orthodox Sunni Islam. Unlike his predecessors, who were more inclined towards promoting religious tolerance, Aurangzeb began to enforce Islamic law more strictly. He abolished the jizya tax, a tax imposed on non-Muslims, but later reinstated it, alongside other policies that were seen as oppressive by the Hindu majority. He also ordered the destruction of certain Hindu temples, such as the Keshava Deva temple in Mathura, and imposed restrictions on the construction of new temples. These actions alienated large segments of his subjects, particularly the Hindus, leading to unrest and resentment. However, his rule was not without its supporters. Aurangzeb was seen by many of his Muslim followers as a ruler who upheld the tenets of Islam, and his policies were perceived by some as attempts to restore Islamic dominance in the region. While his religious intolerance has been heavily criticized, it is important to note that his empire remained multi-religious, with a substantial Hindu population, and his governance was still reliant on non-Muslim officials and soldiers. Aurangzeb's reign was also marked by significant military campaigns. He waged long and costly wars in the Deccan Plateau, seeking to expand Mughal territory in southern India. His battles against the Marathas, led by the formidable Shivaji and later his son, Sambhaji, were among the longest and most grueling military engagements of his reign. While Aurangzeb initially had success in defeating various Deccan sultans, his prolonged conflict with the Marathas drained the empire's resources and led to numerous military setbacks. The Marathas, known for their guerrilla tactics, were able to hold their ground and expand their influence under Shivaji's leadership, presenting a challenge that Aurangzeb could never fully overcome. In addition to his campaigns in the south, Aurangzeb also dealt with rebellions in the north, particularly in Rajputana. Although the Rajputs initially accepted Mughal suzerainty, Aurangzeb's policies, including his religious intolerance, led to significant revolts by Rajput rulers. Despite these challenges, he managed to maintain control over most of the empire's vast territories. However, his focus on military expansion came at a cost. The empire's resources were stretched thin, and as the wars continued, the Mughal treasury began to dwindle. Aurangzeb's governance also reflected his deeply austere personal values. He imposed a strict moral code on the empire, discouraging activities such as music, dancing, and the consumption of intoxicants, which were once widely enjoyed at the Mughal court. He was known for his frugality, and while his predecessors spent lavishly on monumental architecture, Aurangzeb did not focus on such grand projects. The most notable of his architectural contributions was the Bibi-Ka Maqbara, a tomb built in honor of his wife, which resembled the Taj Mahal but on a much smaller scale. While his military and religious policies were often divisive, Aurangzeb was also an efficient administrator. He took personal interest in the affairs of the state, implementing a highly centralized form of governance. He was involved in all matters of state, from military strategy to administrative decisions, and relied heavily on his vast bureaucracy to manage the empire. His legal reforms, including the codification of Islamic law, the Sharia, also left a lasting impact on the Mughal legal system. Despite his administrative brilliance, Aurangzeb's reign ultimately set the stage for the decline of the Mughal Empire. His military campaigns, particularly in the Deccan, drained the empire's resources and led to internal instability. The empire, which had been one of the wealthiest and most powerful in the world under Akbar and Shah Jahan, began to face increasing challenges. Following Aurangzeb's death in 1707, the empire was left with a weakened central authority. His successors, unable to consolidate power, presided over an empire in decline. The Marathas, Sikhs, and Rajputs grew more assertive, and by the mid-18th century, the British East India Company began to expand its influence, eventually leading to British colonization. Aurangzeb's legacy remains hotly debated. On the one hand, he is viewed by some as a pious ruler who was dedicated to preserving the Islamic character of the Mughal Empire. On the other hand, his religious policies, military campaigns, and focus on centralization contributed to the empire's eventual fragmentation and decline. His reign stands as a pivotal moment in Indian history, marking the end of an era of Mughal grandeur and the beginning of a turbulent period in which religious and political conflict would dominate the subcontinent. While some admire his commitment to Islamic law and the strength with which he held the empire together, others criticize him for his intolerance and the lasting divisions he created. His policies on religion, taxation, and governance continue to spark debates among historians, with some seeing him as a symbol of tyranny and others as a misunderstood ruler caught between tradition and change. Aurangzeb's reign may have ended in 1707, but his impact on Indian history was profound. Whether viewed as a villain or a hero, he undeniably left an indelible mark on the subcontinent. If you found this story fascinating and want to learn more about the complex history of the Mughal Empire and its rulers, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content on India's rich history.